This is Rose, and it's my job to make you a vegan expert. Here is a quick summary about the benefits of composting and how to do it with ease. Getting a compost bucket allows you to turn your food scraps into soil. And a lot of people think this isn't worth it because they live in a small space or an apartment or their yard is really small. But when you learn how easy this is, you will be reducing waste and supporting the environment. Really, you don't need a lot of space in order to have a successful garden. Some people container garden, and myself, I have a small garden in my backyard. My dog Bo agrees that our little garden can produce a lot of variety. As a vegan, you are making a lot of food in the kitchen. You're making it from scratch. So don't throw away all those extra peels or stems or outer layers. Instead, put them into your compost bucket. A good bucket will have a replaceable filter in the lid. Mine works so well that I don't smell anything even after a couple of days. So I have to put myself on a schedule to empty it on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays to make sure I don't forget about it. So odor is not a problem. And the cost is minimal. These compost buckets are relatively cheap, $25 or so. Then you'll need a larger bin for outside. A simple garbage can is going to do. And you're going to use this bin to empty out your weekly scraps, and that's where they will accumulate and over time break down. Now, it's going to take between 6 months and a year for your compost to really get to that texture where it's usable in your garden. So you may end up with 2 larger bins for outside, one with compost that's well on its way, and then starting a new one. But be careful, there are a few things that should not go into your compost bucket, and they include meat, fish, and dairy. Eggshells are actually okay. Now, as a vegan, none of that's going to apply to you, unless you live in a household where there's meat eaters, and they might want to throw some stuff in your compost bin. You just have to teach them what can and cannot go in there. So basically just vegetable scraps. Another thing that you might be tempted to put in there, but really should never go in, is pet poo. Now, you might think it's organic, it'll break down, it'll be fine. But actually, it could support harmful bacteria. There are, now keep in mind, a few things that you can put in that might surprise you, like popcorn or pet hair. You can even put in coffee grounds, complete with the filter. Depending on how big your outdoor compost bin is, you can also add grass clippings and leaves. If you are starting a new compost pile, you will benefit from using a compost starter. And it basically is going to be a product that has beneficial bacteria and enzymes that when mixed in with your compost is going to help break it down faster. Once you have an established compost pile, you no longer need the starter because you just take a little bit of the old compost and put it in your new compost bin. Earthworms will also accelerate the breakdown process in your compost. It's a good idea to tumble that larger compost bin every week or 2. That will help everything break down uniformly, and it will actually make it break down more quickly. In a few months, you're going to end up with some nice, rich, dark compost that you can add to your garden soil. Yes, it does take time, but as your vegan lifestyle develops, you're going to find that those months go by pretty quickly. And before you know it, you're going to have some good, usable compost that is actually an amazing, natural, nutritious fertilizer. So when you add compost to your garden, the best answer for this is in the fall after your final harvest. Layer an inch or 2 of your compost on top of the garden, and then turn it under with all the other roots and stems that have been left behind. And over the winter months, those items will break down and you're going to have a nice loamy soil for your garden in the spring. Now, if you don't have it ready until springtime, can you still add it in? The answer is yes, absolutely. Just make sure that you don't disturb any areas where you have bulbs growing in the spring. By keeping this bucket on your counter, you can easily recycle food scraps, and those scraps will nourish your garden. Healthy garden soil is essential. It makes plants stronger, and stronger plants are more resistant to disease, and you will benefit with a really, really good harvest. By learning to compost and growing vegetables at home, you are really turning up your vegan game. So, until next time, my expert vegan friend, this is Rose saying, be kind to yourself.